Legal disclaimer. Nothing in this video is financial advice. Always do your own research or consult a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Debt can either make you a success or ruin you. This single tool can make you super rich, but it can also cause you to go bankrupt overnight. On this journey toward financial freedom, today I will show you how the wealthy use debt to make even more money, and how debt can power all your dreams and ventures. If you're ready, let's begin our journey into the world of debt. I am Jonah, and to continue my journey to financial independence with as few mistakes as possible, I read over 50 books a year and share the systematic solutions I put into practice to avoid potential errors. Is debt a necessary evil or the greatest enemy? Let's find out. Debt is an unavoidable reality for most people. It allows us to realize many dreams, from education and buying a home to starting a business and going on vacation. In fact, the history of debt goes back even further than the history of money. David Graeber's book, Debt: The First 5,000 Years, is an eye-opening work on this subject. However, when debts are not kept under control, they can quickly become our worst nightmare. Debt that is poorly managed can ruin a person's life, and we don't want that to happen to anyone. So, let's set aside the 5,000-year history for a moment and look together at the early days of modern capitalism to understand its impact on today. Let's examine the first item on our list. 1. Building an empire with debt. In the 1800s, Rockefeller built a business worth $400 billion in today's value, entirely with debt. He wasn't born rich. The son of a farmer and a high school dropout, he became one of the richest Americans in history. He built his enormous fortune with the lessons he learned in business and his very first loan of just $1,000. He lowered costs by producing his own barrels and refining his own gasoline. These innovative techniques earned the trust of banks and creditors. He then borrowed money to buy out his competitors and created an oil monopoly. He became a millionaire at the age of 31, and his company, Standard Oil, was refining 90% of America's oil. Rockefeller's most remarkable trait was that he always paid his debts on time, but never hesitated to borrow more when he saw opportunities for growth. 2. Learning to live with debt. The second way debt changes the lives of the wealthy is learning to live with it. It might surprise some people to learn that the rich don't pay for their multi-million-dollar mansions, expensive cars, or luxury vacations with their salaries. In 2021, Elon Musk revealed the secret behind his luxurious lifestyle in a tweet. "I only have stocks, and therefore I have to sell stock to personally pay tax." Elon Musk doesn't take a salary, but his Tesla shares are worth billions of dollars. He avoids selling these shares unless absolutely necessary. Instead, he borrows against them and lives on that debt. This approach gives Musk two major advantages. First, it helps him avoid paying taxes because borrowed money is not taxable income. Second, he doesn't have to sell his Tesla shares, which would trigger capital gains tax. He simply uses the stock as collateral for a loan and continues this cycle infinitely. And Elon Musk isn't the only one. Almost all wealthy people today prefer shares over salaries. They use those shares as collateral and live on debt. This way, they continue their lives without actually paying much in taxes. As you can see, the real tax burden falls on the middle class, whose taxes are automatically deducted from their salaries, not on the wealthy. 3. Buying real estate with debt. The third debt strategy of the rich is buying real estate with debt. While ordinary people struggle to pay off even a single home loan, the wealthy take out loans to buy multiple properties around the world. Surprisingly, they often don't even live in these houses themselves. Even Elon Musk borrowed a total of $61 million in 2018 to buy 5 houses in California. The wealthy prefer to borrow even when they have the cash to pay outright, because debt doesn't create taxable events. If you can borrow under favorable terms and your cash can generate a higher return than the interest on the debt, then debt becomes a huge blessing. I especially emphasize favorable terms because there are things you should avoid in a high-interest environment. For example, only paying the minimum on your credit card and adding debt on top of debt is not a smart strategy when interest rates are high. Those moves made sense when interest rates were artificially low, but that ship has sailed for now. 4. Turning illiquid assets into liquid assets with debt. For our fourth, the wealthy love to acquire assets and hold them forever. Warren Buffett famously said, "The best time to sell a great company is never." That's why they prefer to pass their assets on to their children as inheritance, because these assets tend to increase in value over time. However, this doesn't mean they miss out on big opportunities. When they invest their own money in illiquid assets, they create liquidity through debt and seize profitable business chances. In April 2023, Mukesh Ambani borrowed $5.5 billion to expand the 5G network in India. This debt was less than 7% of his total net worth of $82 billion. Ambani wanted to protect his assets to leave them to his children. The 5G rollout was projected to generate $180 billion in economic growth for India by 2030, and he didn't want to miss that opportunity. So, instead of selling assets, he chose to borrow. I keep mentioning Elon Musk, but it's hard not to when talking about wealth. Another example, Elon Musk also bought Twitter by borrowing money against his Tesla shares as collateral. Money really does attract money. 5. Melting away debt with inflation. In 2012, Mark Zuckerberg took out a home loan with an interest rate of just 1.05%, when the average mortgage rate at the time was about 2.76%. The reason he got such a low rate was simple. His assets were worth $15.6 billion at the time, and bankers were confident he would repay the debt. The higher your net worth or credit score, the lower the interest rate you receive. This strategy brings us to the fifth point, melting away debt with inflation. Zuckerberg gained 3 major benefits from this deal. First, he moved into the home he loved immediately and could live there as long as he wanted. Second, he directed his own money towards investments with much higher returns and made significant profits even after paying the loan interest. Third, by spreading the payments over 30 years, inflation will erode the real value of those payments. What seems like a big payment today may feel almost insignificant 30 years from now. Dear listeners, as you can see, when used correctly, debt is one of the most powerful tools for creating wealth. The wealthy strategically use debt to seize big opportunities and protect their assets. In this section, I shared 5 ways the rich make money with debt. See you in the next section. Take consistent steps toward financial freedom. Follow JBW, and your chances of growing through smart debt will increase. Goodbye.